Welcome to Section 4, Google Firebase. In this section, we'll start by looking at Firebase, which is a real-time database service purchased by Google in 2016. It has since integrated into many other aspects of an application, important ones such as authentication, push notifications, all the stuff that Google does so well. We'll see how simple it is to register an app on Google's Firebase. Since Firebase is serverless, from the perspective of your application anyways, it includes an easy to understand set of security rules that we can write using JSON, which will help protect the integrity of and access to our data. We'll set up Firebase in our project so we can add some real-time data into our presentation app. Alright, let's move on to the first video, logging into Firebase. In this video, we'll be going through what Firebase is. This is a huge topic. We can't cover it all. We'll mainly focus on the real-time database here. In Firebase, the data is stored in NoSQL. If you're used to relational databases with tables and rows of data, this will seem strange at first, so we'll go over it a bit. We'll log into the Firebase dashboard to see what a project looks like. And then we'll stop quickly over some of the features like authentication, data, and analytics. So let's get a move on. In a relational database, we're used to working in tables. So we may have a users table where each row shows us a user, their first and last names, email, and an ID that is a unique key for that row on that table. So if we added an accounts table to hold the number of credits that a user has in their account, then we could use the primary keys from one table as foreign keys on another, and this would show that the rows from two different tables are somehow related. One thing we never try to do with a SQL database is add columns to entire tables to support data on a single row, i.e. we wouldn't add the scandal column to the users table just because Francis Underwood is involved in a scandal. For this, we would create a special table to handle that relationship. This is how that data might look when we see it in our app. There are the two users, and we can see the lower one even has the scandal property. Intact there is the account with the credits on the user objects themselves. Now, JavaScript and JSON can structure data this way easily. SQL can't, and Firebase actually uses JSON for its data, so we can make nested data just like this. This is how you could think of the JSON data being stored in Firebase. Data like this makes it easier to find related information because the related information would probably be directly connected to the piece of information you're looking at. Most times, that's true anyways. Notice the IDs on the users are strange looking. There are a bunch of letters. These are auto-generated by Firebase, but you could set your own keys too. The Firebase auto-generated keys are unique and ordered when they're created, so in fact, just like the two tables in the SQL table, we might create a separate accounts tree and set the IDs here to match the auto-generated IDs from the user's graph. And that way we could link that information. This is called unnesting or flattening the data, and it's usually a good idea for both performance and security. And we'll talk about that in a later video. We might be used to writing apps that make requests anytime it needs to know if something in the database changed. So to update a user's feed in perceived real time, we would have to continuously poll the database asking if any changes have happened to the user's feed. If no changes have happened, then this is just a strain on the database and the client. And then every client online is doing this at the same time, so it's a lot of work being done just in case something happens, and you don't even know if it's going to happen. Firebase, on the other hand, is in real time, meaning when a client makes a change to the Firebase database, Firebase will update the other clients, letting them know about the change. No matter how changes are made, clients subscribed to that data will be updated. Firebase uses WebSockets instead of plain HTTP, so it knows if a client goes offline and then it can update the database as soon as they reconnect. This makes for a very, very good offline experience, and this is the power of real-time data. So here we are at the Firebase homepage. Basically, this shows us many of the different use cases and integrations easily accessible through a Firebase project, as well as some of the notable companies that use Firebase and Google services. At the top, if we press the blue Get Started button, it's going to ask us to log in with a Google account if we're not already logged into one. So this would be a Gmail account. After a successful login, we're shown the different Firebase projects that we either own or that somebody has involved us in. If we click the Explore a Demo project, we'll be shown what an actual Firebase project might look like. If you look at the top left, Analytics, and this shows a lot of useful information about an app. Authentication. Firebase has its own authentication, but you might integrate your own authentication, as well as easily add OAuth 2 from sites like Facebook or Twitter. The demo database is empty. This is where all our data could be displayed, and we'll see that later. Here's some more analytics, things like peak connections, which isn't the same as the number of users using an app. And then there's storage. There's a test lab. That's more for iOS and Android. Same deal with the crash reports. And then there's notifications. We could send push notifications from the cloud with Firebase, and we could even do this in a JavaScript app using Cordova, and it's not that difficult. Firebase makes all this stuff very accessible, very easy to use. It has a lot of features built in that you would spend tons of time setting up otherwise, and that you would really want to have in a production app. In this video, we learned what Firebase is and why we would want to use it. In the next video, we'll go through the click work of registering and grabbing our API information so that we can begin to use Firebase.